Welcome to another episode of A Side of Shade.
Hey,
everybody.
Hello, everybody.
We are back.
We're back.
It's been a minute. Literally, it's been a minute. We haven't been here for a few weeks, but we are back and with a great topic and a great guest. So I am Krishna.
I'm Victoria.
And Kristen.
And we have our special guest today, Andrea Jackson.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Yes.
So, first, okay, we good over there?
Kill the bug.
Yeah. You know what?
It came out.
I'm glad you said something about
It
that.
was the mosquito, wasn't it?
Hold on.
Thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up because as you notice how hot it is outside. I'm sorry. Which fault? You know how I feel. We talked about this several weeks ago about the seasons changing. My wardrobe is shit. I need my wardrobe to shift all the way. I can't have the halfway.
But you know what? I actually thought about that conversation the other day because I was looking at my closet and I was like, this is why we can't transition.
See?
We really do need to leave everything out because
I don't like it.
it's
I
gonna be like 90 tomorrow.
See, this is what I'm saying. I can't do this.
We really gotta leave everything
I
out.
can't do it. I like my Andre. Listen to me.
I'm like gross. Like
I like my closet to shift. Once the summer is officially done,
Can't do that anymore.
I can't just shift no more. It's global warming.
Global warming says
Says no to my fall wardrobe. It's saying no.
it's saying no.
I don't like it.
It's a no.
And that's what they really saying. And I saw a post today that somebody said, "I'm so glad we can still wear sandals." No.
She said, but can we?
I said, "There's no. It's
Should we?
October. I don't want
But
my
it's
toes
90.
out."
Uh-oh.
No, that's one thing you're transitioning to. Like when I go to go out real quick, I can see that. But I'm saying like my whole wardrobe. Like I don't
Your
want to
whole
keep my
wardrobe.
sandals out. It's over.
yes.
Is it?
It's not though. I'm saying in my mind it's
Not
over.
in
but we
90
haven't
degree
shipped.
weather.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm saying, anybody
It'll be
agree?
86 tomorrow.
I'm like
Like we live in the
86.
desert.
So yeah, because my daughter, she getting ready for her 21st birthday.
Oh.
Yes.
And she all like, what's her outfit gonna be? And then I said,
you can't
I
plan.
just looked at the weather. It's gonna be 84. She was like, so UGG season ain't in. No, it's not UGG season ain't in.
Tell them wait until the day
Even
before.
It's too much.
I seen somebody in UGG though.
We're not gonna be able to wear Uggs until like January.
That's a problem. But here's the other thing. Like I do feel like if we haven't transitioned yet, and I feel like if we all going out somewhere, clearly let's make sure we're all in the same season.
That's true.
Because see, if you got on Uggs because you say that's it, I'm wearing Uggs, and I'm still with my sandals, and she got on shorts and a hat
She'll
and
have
a
on
shirt,
tights, so it'll be
we got
appropriate.
so everybody
Y'all
gotta
don't
be
look good as a unit.
We do have to look
We
good
do
as a
as a
unit. That's
unit.
important.
No, it's true.
I'm just saying. So when you
Especially
go out with
black
your
people,
friends,
you know how we do.
you know how we do.
No,
When
it's
you
true.
go out with your friends, let's make
You
sure
gotta
we
look at your unit.
all in the same season.
That's what that
'Cause you
phone
look
call
very
was for. Like, so
autumnal.
what you wearing tonight?
What you
again?
wearing, right. But you know, it's always that one friend that you say what you wearing, and they be like, I'm just gonna wear something chill.
And then
And then they come out and you like, oh, I thought we was chilling. This one full beat face.
And the fur coat.
We got a head tied up in it. And we said, why you got fur coat on? She said, but I got sweats on. Right. We don't get it.
And like, I don't understand.
We don't get it.
But you look very autumnal.
Oh, that's the word of the day. Can you
back
say
out.
that?
Autumnal.
And what does that mean?
Fall-like.
Fall like.
Oh.
Thank you.
And
Autumn.
see, we went
It's SAT
Autumn.
season. It's
It's
Saturday.
autumn.
You're right.
Autumn.
Not
You look like
No.
autumn.
How do you spell it?
Right. Spell it.
Autumnal. Autumnal.
Use it in a
Wow.
sentence.
One more time, please.
Right. For the people outside in the back.
Autumnal.
She said it's right.
A-U-T-U-M-N-A-L. Autumnal.
Yes.
Right.
Fall.
This is the wordsmith. Trust me. If it's a word,
She looks
Victoria's
like
verbiage.
autumn.
That's what we
She
do.
looks like autumn.
I appreciate that.
very nice.
Well, I do have a new
Fall-like.
look to it.
Oh,
so.
I like.
The color scheme.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But I know y'all don't want to hear all about that. Today
don't.
we are don't do that.
Oh.
What about my hair, about my look, or about the seasons? Which part do you want to hear about? Tell me.
I thought we was about to have a whole conversation about your hair.
Oh
I was
no
about to be
no.
like,
I'm sorry. No,
Not today.
it speaks
No,
for
it
itself.
does
Nothing
look
to talk
good,
about, right? Just saying.
It looks good.
Hey y'all. Sorry. But anyway, so today, we do have a very important conversation tonight.
Very
seriously.
important.
Because we met, actually, Andrea and I we weren't in at the same time, right? At school,
I
but
think when I left out, you came in.
Okay.
Which is
So we look like we could be
sad.
right
Yes.
the same.
I look like I could be there now.
Yes. Hello, somebody. Let them know.
Black girl, man.
I'm still in high school. It's been too much
Even
time.
though you couldn't
at
pay me
Rose-
to be in high school, no.
Right.
But anywho, But we went to the same school. We both from PG County. Hello, yes.
County all day
long.
Yes.
And we connected at an event that we all hosted. And so we heard her talk about finances and getting your stuff in order and all that. And we said we got to have her on the show. Absolutely. And that's why she is here tonight, because it is, even though the seasons have officially changed, it's important that we don't, one of the things I posted was, let's not fall into debt at the same time, even though it's fall.
Yes. Because
the holidays are coming up.
I'm about to say, money has seasons too.
Hello, people get worked up, people get excited, because I know people already talking about shopping and all that. I'm not interested. People are talking about shopping, and people are still trying to recover from the summer, right? Because they've been on vacations and all that. So we brought Ray on here because, one, she was going to coach us as well, because we were supposed to sign up for a personal coaching session with her.
We'll get that tonight. Thank you.
Okay, great. Look at this one. Don't look. Try not to look too far away.
Like I'm about to fade into the book.
Right. This is homework.
She goes.
That's my favorite show.
But we all talk about how money is a difficult conversation. Money and sex. We had that conversation earlier. Yes, Lord. But money is a difficult conversation because many of us don't know how to have those conversations. We don't talk about it. We're afraid of it. We just let it just have its way, whatever that means. And we are glad to have you here tonight, so you can kind of talk about that. So can you just like introduce yourself and tell them, with kind of like your background and what you do?
So first of all, thank you guys, Side of Shade, for having me on the show. I really appreciate that. I work in the area of finances, and so that's one of the things that I do. But it's the main thing that I do. But I always tell people, I did not get into this arena because I was a financial guru. I had a desire to deal with money. I was the exact opposite. I was not taught about money. And what I realized is that I could not be isolated. It could not be just me that did not know how to manage money. From the standpoint, I graduated college, went to the awesome BSU, Bowie State University.
Oh, right now.
For that. But I went to Bowie. Went to the Yes, start giving shout outs like it's a real big university and everything. We're like, we have new buildings and everything. And I also went to the #1 high school in Prince George's County, and so that would be Eleanor Roosevelt.
Right now.
And but I say those things for a reason, especially with Roosevelt, because you have that reputation, but I graduated not knowing anything about money, no practical application about money. And one of my challenges with the school system, period, is you don't teach practical things. And so when you come out of high school, you go straight into college, but you've already amassed debt. By the time I was 23, my credit report was 7 pages long. I had a wallet full of credit cards, but I didn't have one. I always tell people, guess what credit card I didn't have?
What was that?
Anybody guess?
American Express.
Absolutely. I didn't have an American Express because American Express was due at the end of the month. Absolutely. Right. And but I graduated college with over $30,000 in credit card debt. And so I did that because I had no idea how to manage money. I tell people all the time, I will never have a condescending attitude about money, because if you name it, I've done it. Bad credit, repo, or I call it the almost foreclosure. Almost foreclosure. Anything you can think of has happened when it comes to money, but it's a very simple reason. It all comes down to financial literacy. So just like you said, if we're not having the conversations, even at home, if we're not discussing money. I grew up in a generation where if your parents if you went out to eat and the bill came on the table and you call yourself going to reach for the bill, they slap your hand. So it's just certain things you learn culturally not to do. You didn't ask your parents about their check. You didn't ask them about their money. If that conversation wasn't happening, if they weren't showing you how to pay bills, and that's still today, people think automatically your children know how to pay bills.
Right.
What your children know is that you have this plastic thing in your wallet, and when you stick that thing in that machine, money come out. They don't think about how money goes in.
Right.
They just know money comes out. So when you
all right now.
That's kind of like when you do like the praise dance at church, like,
Right.
So, but that's real.
You know somebody gonna shout in a minute, right?
But that's real though, because you're looking and you're telling your children, no, you can't have this, and they're looking at you. I said I was gonna have a skit on Dave Chappelle where like just bubble pops up in the kid's head and say they really want to say.
Right.
And so when you tell that child no, they're like, you ain't say no when you went to Total Wine last.
See, Total Wine. Don't do that.
You ain't say.
Don't ever put Total Wine in your mouth.
That's like the funniest. That's the funniest liquor store to me in life. It's a liquor store.
Don't do that.
Stop bringing your children in there like it's a mall. I'm like, it's still a. That's a whole nother topic, but that amazes me.
They need to know. Every liquor store don't have to have cigarettes in the back.
That's right.
Oh my, they be walking around like, here, just get that.
Put it in the cart.
You got the child.
But hold on, Audrey. But wait a minute though. You gotta admit though, the good thing about Total Wine is one, it's a cigar thing in the back. The selection is great.
Awesome.
But hold on, there's no lottery machine and no cigarettes. I'm just saying.
No, and they got chocolate at the front.
They have what?
Chocolate.
Oh, chocolate. That makes
it
fancy.
Oh, makes it.
But it's a very fancy.
But
but your children are looking at you like you have money, just not for me.
Right.
And so because they don't understand, and then on the other side of that spectrum is the child that gets everything they want.
Yeah.
And so you're constantly giving them everything to, whatever, to fill the void, to make you feel good, to whatever, however you justify giving them everything they want, but then they don't have a real world view of money.
Right.
Because they think that I'm supposed to get whatever I want. The missing piece is you have to earn it, work for it. Mm-hmm. And so then you add not understanding how money works with that, then you have our community. And when I say our, I'm specifically right now just speaking to African Americans from a standpoint of wealth.
Yeah.
We have now dropped down. It was, at least for a little while, Caucasians, African Americans, and Asians. Well, it was Caucasians, Asians, African Americans, and then Latinos or Hispanics, whichever one you call it. Now it's Caucasians, Asians. Actually, it's Asians, Caucasians, then Latinos, and then African Americans. And so when you're talking about the amount of wealth, see, in our area, can't speak to Baltimore, but I can speak to Prince George's. People in Prince George's work for the federal government. So we confuse. And let me not say we, because I'm very clear.
Right.
People confuse, some of my clients confuse what they make with what they have. It's not the same. So they tell you make 6 figures. They tell you make $150,000 on paper.
Right.
But if you just simply looked at what you bring home, if you look at your net pay, if your net pay, even if your net pay is $7,000 a month,
right.
Well, 7 times 12 is 84. That is not 150.
Right.
But you tell yourself you make 150, you create a lifestyle of 150,000, which is like a $13,000 a month.
Throw my shoe out here.
And then what happens is it's a hot mess. But you look good. We talked about that earlier, unsecured bag.
Right.
You look good.
But that's the thing. I think that one of the reasons why I know for me growing up, we didn't have the conversation is because I was raised by a single parent, and we sometimes, I think my mom had a pretty good job. Okay. But so I really didn't understand. I didn't get this concept either, but I did see some struggle in terms of, because like once we moved out, because we lived with my grandparents for a while, then when we moved out on our own, and my mother was she was a teenage mom. So she grew up with a 2-parent household. So, and my grandfather was clear about his money.
Yes,
and how much he made and how to pay your bills and all of that. But everybody, sometimes it don't always transfer, which is always,
it's
to
the
me,
conversation.
it's the conversation about it. And so I really didn't get the concept until I got out. I feel like when I got out on my own. And then it was like when me and my daughter had our first apartment together, and it's so funny. I go to look in the cabinet, I'm like, it's no salt and pepper in here. It's no toilet paper. It was like it was nothing in there. And then you realize, wait a minute. So you saying not only do I have to pay rent, but now I got to also buy stuff to get in here. You know what I mean? But like you said, if you don't have these you thinking I'm on my own, you really are with nothing in the cabinet. You know what I mean? And so, but even getting out there, I had to figure out how to manage my bills. And we, Victoria and I talk about that all the time about, some of the concepts being raised by a single parent that you just didn't, it just wasn't instilled. Like it was just you barely got through most of the time.
They were working and didn't have time necessarily for those conversations. But you said something that was very key. A lot of us have those grandparents that didn't make a lot of money, but they did not, quote unquote, struggle. They always saved. They kept priorities straight. Right. I think our priorities got out of whack. We're joking, but it's really not a joke. There are many, many people out there that their handbags are worth more than them. So they're collecting these items, their shoes and bags and cars, and they have no liquid wealth. They have no wealth because nothing has any value to it. Right. So it's your assets, what you own minus what you owe equals that's your wealth. Right. And if you don't own anything, then you're in a negative space. Yeah. And so when you said, think about it, we had these grandparents that had 5 and 6 children. Mm-hmm. They figured out how to take care of 5 and 6 children. In some cases, up to 10 children. They figured out how to put the food on the table, keep a roof over your head, and maybe it wasn't a 7-bedroom colonial with 5-car garage, but it kept the roof over your head. And those 7 kids can't figure out how to take care of those parents. Mm. And that's real. So, you got people out there and they're struggling. How is that?
And are you seeing? Because that's definitely interesting. That's serious. I'm just saying to think about that because it's true. We haven't figured out how to make our money work for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that even when I got out of college, and it took me literally 10 years. So then nobody told me about debt. Yes. They told my student loans. I had no clue about what it means to then manage that. Yes. And getting student loans. Yeah. And you went to undergrad and grad.
Yeah. But I wanted to sort of back up because I think part of that not talking about and not knowing, and then like you said, not knowing how to now take care of your parents on the other side. If like for me, I was taught like, okay, you sit down and you pay the bills. Like I knew how to write out a check and I knew how to do all that kind of stuff. But I didn't actually know how to budget. So when you talk about owning something, we could own a house, but if we don't know how to manage the finances that it takes to afford the house and the car and you know what I mean? Right. And so I'm just wondering if you can speak about that because I feel like that's that's like the starting point. Yeah. Like how can you save if you can't?
And that's so it's 2 things you hit. One is the savings. The other thing is when it comes to budgeting. When I sit down, a lot of times at this point in my career, I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm moving into 2nd generation. So meaning I have clients that have been with me for over 10 years. Their children were either young or teenagers, so now their children are grown, and so they want me to sit with their kids now. And so one of the first things that come up is they say the same thing. I don't know what to do with this money. Like, what am I supposed to do? But even having that conversation, you have your income coming in. What are your expenses? What eats up most people's money is the expenses. It's not the debt. And it's, again, what are the words that we say to ourselves? People that say, well, I rent or I own. In essence, no. For most people, they either rent or they're financing. In our area, people aren't owning $300,000 houses, $400,000 houses. But again, if you're telling yourself this, then you'll look up and you don't even see the value of the ownership. I have a client who she cracks me up. She's straight old school, but she's so funny to me. And so she's getting ready to pay off her house. She lives in Bowie, but she's getting ready to pay her house off in the next 3 months. And so she was telling me how her family's from Southwest. And so she was telling me how her family said to her, "You're stupid. Why would you do that? And that's silly. You don't ever pay off your house." And me and her were laughing because, see, bad news travels so fast. So I have a lot of government clients. And one of the things that government workers have started to do since 2008 is they take out loans from their TSP. So they take it to TSP is the government workers 401k plan. And so it's called a thrift savings plan, but they take out loans, and this is the bad information that travels fast. Oh, well, you can pay yourself back. So it's not really a loan. You don't have to qualify for it. It's a low interest rate, and you're really paying yourself back. See, that's one half of the story. The other half of the story is, but you just took your money out of the market, so you're losing time in the market. Your money's not growing, so those highs and lows that you could be taking advantage of and making money is now working against you. Without getting too deep, there's something called the rule of 72. The minute that you took that money out, the rule of 72 started working against you. So now the interest is compounding as opposed to the money compounding. When it's working for you, the money is compounding. So just to speak to your conversation about budgeting, you're right. If we're not taught what is an expense, what is a debt, what is income coming into the household, what are the things I need to pay? In my household, I'm a Christian, and so therefore we live our life by 10-10-80. It starts by actually doing something. So both of my daughters started working this summer past. And what I said to them was, this is a 10-10-80 house. You give God his 10, you save your 10, and 80% you're going to figure out the rest with. And so they got their little jars, little mason jars, and they put 10% for when we go to church and they can tithe, 10% for them to save their money, and everything else they need to do is the 80%. I don't care what you do with the 80% of your money right now. You can go ahead and buy. One of my daughters loves concerts. You can go to concerts, do what you want to do with the 80% of your money, but those 2 things are important. You must pay God, and you I sit down with clients and they have these beautiful spreadsheets. They have these apps. It's breaking down money.
I do have a beautiful
It's so, but people have figured out things to do with Excel. I don't even think the makers of Excel knew. Like you push their things, we moving all over the place.
I be in it like Medea.
It's amazing.
Right? She focused.
But they're missing one piece on that beautiful spreadsheet, and it's called YOU. Right. So they don't have their name on it. They're not paying. They haven't even included themselves into their own budget.
So let me ask you a question. So one of the things that I think there was, and this could be a misconception, I don't know, because I was listening to like Susie Orman and all those kind of people, and she would talk about that, paying yourself, making sure that you're putting money away. Do you agree with the philosophy of, do you pay down all your debt? When I say debt, like if you got credit cards, your car, your this and those things, do you pay all that stuff down before you before you save money?
Where'd that come from?
Yeah, before you save?
Yes.
Or do you, because is that working against you as well? Like if I pay all my bills, say, you know what, I'm gonna pay double on this, double on that, I do all of that. And then I say, okay, if I don't put money away and put it, it's like, and I still got to go back in there and get the money out the savings anyway.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So how does it work?
All right. So then it's two. So everything you said, like it's two things.
Okay,
it does. So your question makes absolute sense. So let me answer the question first. No, I don't agree with that. I believe you can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time.
Okay.
And the biggest challenge is that because there's somebody else, somebody named Dave Ramsey that a lot of people listen to as well. He will go in on debt. I can name a bunch of people that will go in on debt, but here's a missing piece again to that. If all you're doing is paying down your debt, when an emergency arises and you have no savings, guess what you do? Go right back and build up more debt. So I always tell, I teach a class, and even with my clients, I tell them, you can walk and chew bubble gum. So it's all about how, because it's not that, I'm telling you, I've yet to run across somebody in 15 years that did not have the money. People have money to do exactly what they want to do with the money. It's just that they've already decided to do something else with the money. And so when you start talking about invest in yourself, because that's not a concept as Americans, this has nothing to do with being an African American, Asian, Caucasian. It's not a concept globally as Americans that we embrace about investing in you. And what does that look like? What we do is we get upset. So we get upset, we get in our feelings when we see pastors live in certain ways, but see, they follow principles, the same principles you can follow and live a certain way, but instead we get upset and we want to talk about they just raping their congregation. They follow principles. And so the thing is with Susie Orman, sometimes, and I tell people, no offense, but you have to have ears to hear. Sometimes she give $1 million advice to non-millionaires. And so if you're telling people at one point, which I know she's retracted this, but at one point she used to tell people that they did not need to have insurance on their children. Well, what do you do if your child dies? See, everything is world perspective. So in your world, perhaps you are surrounded by people who have money that is safe so they can stroke a check if their child passes away. But in my world, and on Facebook, you see a lot of GoFundMe's because they didn't have any life insurance put away for their child. So therefore, when the child passes away, they don't have any way to cover it because it does cost. It's not free. They don't have, they'll be like, oh, no, it costs. And so again, she's since retracted that, but you have to have ears to hear to understand, say, wait a minute, hold up. Is that for me or not? And so often people are so focused on paying down their debt. I believe in paying off your debt. I just believe you can do both at the same time. And so I do something with my clients called debt stacking. Some people are familiar with it's called snowballing. Either which way, I show them how do you pay out your money because see, it's all about understanding the purpose. And so if I can show you the bigger picture, that bigger picture being, okay, well, what is the purpose of paying off my debt? Well, the purpose to free up that money. Why? So I can now begin to invest that money and I can create a wealth strategy. And so I can begin to, because again, these are the conversations that we're having. Weirdo conversation. Let's have some wealth. Let's talk about how do we build wealth.
And that's the thing. It's like I feel like for the most part, that's the problem. It's like you can't get to that because it's so many. Just like I'm sure. Because Victoria is a licensed therapist. Like that's the thing. It's like before you can even get to hey, I just want my life to be fixed. It's like let's. We got to start right here. So
let's take some steps.
There's some steps to all of that. And I think sometimes you're right. And I know, and growing up in PG County in the DC area, it's always been about status, how you look, doing this, and ain't got a dime in their purse, ain't got no money, but you look good.
Yes.
And that's definitely a thing. And I know, especially going to Roosevelt, you know, you wanted to look a certain way. And then granted, we was in high school, but I've seen people with bad, hello.
They still like that.
Exactly.
Well, most of my kids are there.
And I think part of what you were saying about pay yourself first, sometimes I think that's what we think it means.
To give
myself something.
So treat yourself first.
I'm treating myself as opposed to...
That makes sense.
It's an emotional response. And so I just bought myself some shoes.
That's right.
Forget that. And I remember being there. See, I'm very good at not forgetting where I came from.
That's right.
And I remember saying, shoot, I worked hard all week, man.
Right.
Forget that. I called payday Temporary Millionaires Day. Why? Because everybody going to lunch that day.
Everybody.
Because I done worked all week. I ain't packing no lunch.
Right.
They go.
That's
I mean,
true.
everybody's excited about going out to eat.
That's true.
And how
That's like
hard
that
is
meme, and then I'm gonna call the bank company on Monday and be like, hey, that wasn't my charge.
Right. Hold on.
I ain't do none of that.
What's that fee?
But
I ain't go to that club. I ain't drink them drinks. What you mean? That's fraud.
I was home all weekend.
Not fraud. It's a whole fraud, the whole account.
Whole account.
What, the rent too?
Throw it away.
Everything. Throw the whole thing. The whole bank account. Close it out.
It's compromise.
Look,
we starting fresh.
Somebody hacked the account.
But and then y'all get, like you're saying, you speak to the fact that once you know better, you do better.
Yes.
But it took time.
Yes.
Because Kristen is much younger than we are. And so I was telling her, like,
I'm sorry, can you say that again really quick for my life?
she's slightly younger than us.
Hey.
She's much younger than us.
Look like us
And
when you get our age.
I wish. You're absolutely right.
40s
That ain't
rock.
nothing. You ain't lying.
But we talk about, like, and I know you could probably speak to what you're trying to do and try to, do things with your own finances.
I'm trying to get my life together.
Right. She's trying to secure her bag.
I am walking, chewing gum, but I keep falling over the little cracks.
Little cracks.
But she's trying to blow it too.
Right, yes,
She keeps swallowing the gum.
It's a
And I
choice.
want glitter to
She's
come
swallowing
out.
the gum.
She swallows the gum.
And I
She
swallow
want
it.
glitter. But you know what?
To me chewing gum
And you gotta also
it's
know
not as
that
easy as
it's
I
not.
thought.
And then, wait a minute, Andre.
And I'm
Also,
like,
you
I got
need to
it.
know that she has 20 ideas that she
do.
want to do and accomplish.
I have, like,
all within that.
$20 million ideas
But
to go
with
nowhere.
$2.
But that's awesome. No. It's awesome. And see, that's one of the things I love about millennials. I get irritated when people start talking about millennials, especially people our age. I think people in their 40s and their early 50s, how are you going to talk about the generation you raised? You're upset about the people that you made them. And so you're upset because they turned out exactly the way you made them. But I love the fact that they have so many ideas. It's just about directing those ideas.
Yeah.
And, one of the things I wanted to correct, there's many places, like I have a workshop coming up October 20th called the Extreme Makeover. Here's commercial break.
Where's it going to be at? Let
So
them know.
it's called the Extreme Makeover. It's happening at Arundel Preserves. You can register at www.jonesjewels.com. But in that environment, we talk about the 5 areas of prosperity. So we talk about spiritual prosperity from a belief standpoint. We talk about making sure that you have mental prosperity because everything starts in the mind. With this whole entire conversation is a mindset conversation. Because if your mind is focused on wealth, then you will sacrifice. You'll do the things that you need to do, but our minds focus on other things. And so we talk about mental prosperity. We talk about physical prosperity because what's the point of getting all this money and dying?
Right.
So because you're unhealthy. Right. And so we do the physical prosperity. We talk about relationship prosperity. My mentor said to me one time, the awesome Lisa M. Jones, and give a shout out, that's my girl. But she said to me, you're one person away from poverty and one person away from prosperity, which is why you have to be so careful about who you connect to. And so when you do that, that's real. And so
I'm about to say, I'm going to need you to say that again. I got to take that in. We got to take that in.
When she told y'all wasn't listening.
We gotta take that in.
Take over the voice.
You hear that?
You are one person away from prosperity and one person away from poverty.
Hello,
Therefore,
somebody.
you must be careful about who you connect to. And so you're talking about, the conversations that's tough to have.
Yeah.
This is not a sexual conversation, but it plays into that as well. You must be careful about who you connect to because it will jump off them and get on you, and you won't try to figure out why I used to pay my bills. Why don't I pay my bills now? And so
I told you.
that thing is real.
She be running around here.
Man, I'm telling you, energies are real.
I'm about to throw
The spirit of poverty and prosperity.
Because I think about that, and I'm not to say that we got it all together.
Yes.
But what I will say is, I feel like now a lot of what I've seen is a lot of people, as far as in my circle, this transition of what's important. Because in your 20s, you're going out, going to the club, hanging out, buying whatever, getting the shoes you want and all those things. That was important then because you was 20-something.
Yes.
But my concern, if that's still your concern at 40-something, then we got a problem. Now, look, don't get me wrong, because I love, I like to shop.
God knows.
Don't let them know. I can't even deny it. But what I do realize is that when I feel myself getting to a point where I'm doing too much,
then you pull back.
I gotta pull back because, in my 20s and 30s, no, pull back. Like I worked all 2 weeks.
So my main issue, because even before it gets to that, I was never the person that liked to shop and name brand, and I don't need the bag and I don't need all the extra stuff. So it is, how are you still having issues financially when those aren't your goals, especially transitioning into 30? Because
she said transitioning.
You're not transitioning. You're there.
You 30. Because again, not over yet, so I haven't really got a chance to feel it.
30.
It's not
here. No, you transitioned.
Okay. We're not going to dwell on that. Anyway, as I transition.
I'm a transitioning
into 30. Haters, just let me live.
We're trying to let you. I want you to live.
I'm only 29 in a few months.
Girl, no. 30.
That was
and a half.
I'm putting the camera on us because I'm having a conversation.
Okay, all right, yes.
So it's always the question of where does the money go when those things are not your focus?
Okay, so
I'm about to
but let me tell you, I'm about to blow your mind because it's not what you think. And so I mentioned spiritual, mental, physical relationships. The last one is money. If you don't have those other 4 together, this is why you don't see your money. You ever wonder why somebody can get a multi-million-dollar contract? They can get a, you got a football player, basketball player. I'm saying they get, you can spin around. They get a multi-million-dollar contract and they go broke.
Right.
Because those other 4 areas aren't together. And so you're trying to figure out because women, sometimes we emotionally eat. And so you're like, where's my money going? Oh, well, you eat all the time. That's where your money goes. Or you have people, that emotionally drink. Right. Or you have people that, they emotionally put one in there. I mean, whatever. Right. And all of a sudden, people are trying to escape their reality. And I don't care if you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. The more you have to do this adult thing, people try to escape their reality, and that's where your money goes. That's the truth. Even down to the fact, I don't believe anybody should pay for cable.
I don't mean a song.
That's crazy.
Okay, but wait,
that's a word right there. We got to pause. Can we sit right there for 1 second?
No, we got to sit right there.
That's a whole word. When you do the budget at the end of the day, once you break it down, not even thinking about what the salary is, what you got with the check.
Yes.
And break it down, and you have all your bills paid out, and then you go to pay everything, and you're like, I'm sorry.
Where did it go?
That's not what this is supposed to be. Hold on. And you sit with the calculator looking like trying to figure out what went wrong.
But I want to go back to the mindset piece because I think it was so much.
Yeah,
it was so much. I was thinking there. But I think because the mindset piece is so key because it goes back to what we were originally talking about. And I know for me, and Christian and I have been talking about this a lot in like this past, almost year, I've been on my own financial journey, clearing up. But it was literally like a switch went off in my brain. No lie. It was like a switch went off in my brain the end of last year. And because I kept struggling, and there was a period of time where I was doing exactly what you were just talking about. This was years ago when I was married. But I realized I was shopping because I was bored. And I was feeling the void of whatever, right? And I would justify it, like I would rationalize, oh, well, got a new handbag because I collect this and I got look cute business. And then it finally got to the point where it was just like, I'm bored. Like I'm just doing, but I had also witnessed that, not even from my own family, but my in-laws. So when you say who you're connected with, I became my ex-mother-in-law because she was doing the same thing. And I sort of absorbed that energy of like just buying things, thinking that, okay, it's because I've arrived and I can afford it.
Yes.
But do I really need all this stuff? Right.
And how do you, and I think like, I mean, you all can respond. It's like, how do you then deal with that? Because I can think of growing up, it was like this feast of famine. So it was like you said, payday or taxes come. Yes, we going out, and we going to get this, and we spending this, and we didn't. And then I didn't realize how much that was my life. Now, as much as I tried to work through that and not be this and not do this and make sure I'm mindful of this and all that, it was still spilling over.
Yes.
So when I was doing other work on myself, in therapy and all that, then I realized a lot of those habits were absorbed from just growing up and not knowing any other way to process or deal with these things. And so when my issue with spending and buying stuff was, one, it was more of avoidance. So I did it because I didn't want to deal with something. Absolutely. So then I get online or whatever the case may be. I'm at the store for no reason, don't need another pair of black anything, but I'm just going to get it anyway. Right. So it's like once you realize why you do what you do, no different than eating. Yes. Every other addiction or whatever you can think of. Once you realize why you do what you do, then that helps you. Then when the switch then clicks on, and then you can realize, oh, then I can stop myself. Because that's not to say the triggers ain't gonna still be there. That's right. Because I can still be like find myself like whoa, and then but when I recognize, oh, I see what's going on right now. Absolutely. This is what's happening. I can pull back. But it's like, how do you then, like you said, you have kids. How are you preparing them? And I know you talked about the jars you have and those kind of things. How are you preparing for those kids who are millennials? It's like, I have a 21, well, she'll be 21 next week. And one of the things my husband and I talked to her about is making sure you pay what you owe. Yes. And we have been explaining that to her because that's how my husband grew up. Now, God forbid if we both were spending. Yeah. But my husband, thank God, he is not that. He is like, we don't need to. Why we need? He the one that buys rice. He don't go and get.
Yes, the black and white.
He don't. He like rice. Nah. When we go in the store, me and my daughter be like, oh, Dad, look. She be like, Dad, you should get these new da da da. He be like, man, I can get like 3 pairs of shoes. Right. That's how he is. I can get like 3 pairs of shoes for that. So that's his mindset because he's not that kind of person. Yeah. But talking to her about it, she's still, when you looking at social media, you see girls out. I'm like, when we were growing up, at least for most of us, all of that, I mean, I'm not saying girls didn't have weed, they didn't have, got their head in the bags and all. Some of them, there was a select few that did. Right. But the things that fulfill them now is totally different. Like, I remember everybody didn't have, your hair wasn't, your friend did your hair. Right. You did your nails. You wasn't at the salon every week. Absolutely. So it's like, how do you talk to your daughters about that? Because that's one of the things, my daughter thinks she need to be slayed every week. And I'm like, where are you going?
I'm about to say, it was a battle from the standpoint, not so much with them. Because I grew up, I started work when I was 14. And at the end of the day, my mom said, my shoe budget is $50. I have this, like, I love sneakers. I don't even got a bunch of them. I just like to look at them. I don't know where I could wear them to now, so I just go to stores and look like, those are nice. And so, but I've always loved them. So she said, my budget is $50. You want some more that costs off of $50, then you're going to have to get a job. So we started working at 14 and 15, me and my sister. And so when I look and I say, we started contributing early. And I always tell people, so, I grew up with a single parent as well. And I tell my mom this all the time. I live my life like this. Some of the things you did were cautionary. And some of the things you did were exemplary. And I said, so I do the same. The things that I thought were exemplary, I do in my household. So things like wanting my children to work. Because it's a different feeling when it's your money. Right. They will spend your money all day, not thinking at all about it. But when it's money earned, that they earned, first there's a different, it makes you walk taller, first of all. And there's nothing wrong with developing that character in them where they feel like a day work, it don't be hard. You working at Chick-fil-A, talking about that ain't hard. But
you make it smooth.
Right, exactly. But the other, excuse me, the other reason why I do that, because I'm a proponent and an advocate of working for yourself. And so I want them to see early why you need to own. Because you don't have any say at that job. They don't care your opinion. And so, but I wanted them to catch that. So a lot of things is doing, not just talking. It's one thing that I do to people when I'm doing workshops. I don't know if it'll work here, but we can try. Everybody put your hand up like this real quick. It's weird. Just put your hand up.
We did this the other day. Kristen had to help me.
Okay, so then you're going to bring it down and you I want you to put your finger, I'm going to put your hand on your chin.
Oh, on the chin.
See, I thought about this.
Yeah, but you thought about it. Now, most people will put if it was a larger room, most people would have put their hand right here because that's exactly what I did. It doesn't matter that I said put it on your chin.
No, we did that a few months ago. I did it at the Christmas light.
And she was sitting there and I'm like,
right, because they're not listening.
Right, you just
it's
watching.
The same thing. People do what you do, not what you say. And too often when we move into parental mode, we want to lecture. But your children are by looking at what you do. So you're telling them to save their money. They watch you spend yours. You're telling them, excuse me, to be mindful. Do this, do that, do this. But then they're watching you do that, do that, do that.
But I'm saying it's my money, and I work every day.
It's not like the commercial. But that's because you asked. Well, so what I do is I show them what to do. We still have the conversations, and it's not that it's perfect. One of my daughters is at North Carolina A&T. If I got any Aggies in the house, I just do that because they scream out Aggie pie, and I think it's funny. But she's there, and it's amazing to me living in a household with me all these years. She still called me and was like, I don't understand, Mom. And so when we went to Walmart, I had to tell her, okay, because she just kept putting the stuff in the basket. I said, it's so cute. I said, you do know you got $150, right? And so she was like, I know. I said, well, I'm going to encourage you to organize your stuff into what you want and what you need. Because I can already tell you it's more than $150 in this basket. But watching her struggle through that, like, But it was a good exercise. I just sat there. It was killing my sister because she wanted to jump in and save her. She's like, I just give her the money. Fall back, chick. I need her to go through this process so she begins to understand I can't always, I can create an income stream that allows me to have whatever I want. But even in that, I don't care how much you make, there's still a cap. The only person I know, and I don't live with him, but Bill Gates makes $1 trillion a minute. Because when you think about the fact that distribution, Microsoft, everything in here has Microsoft on it. He's making like millions of dollars a second. 90% of his money goes into a foundation. He lives in what's called investor mode. Like his money can't stop making money. But most people aren't like that, considering 95% of the people in our country retire broke. So if that's you, then perhaps you need to be more focused on the bigger picture. And I think that sometimes it's about painting that bigger picture. Why be debt-free? Not for just being debt-free. It's because it frees up money and now you can invest. And you want to be a millionaire, this is how you get there. Because at 27, it only takes $214, averaging 9% in investment to be a millionaire by the time you're 65.
So can you pause for a second?
Yes.
Because we got, I'm overwhelmed.
Don't be
we got pause.
I'm sweating. I'm just fighting.
Because we were just talking about the bigger picture, and I think this goes back to the question that you had. Like, if I'm not into name brand, I'm not doing it. Then what is my money for? And I think it's for the bigger picture, right? It's for like I had literally said to her, I was like, but you have bigger dreams and aspirations, and just like right now, my thing of getting out of debt is I want to travel, and like I haven't done enough of that, and it's like if I free up if I clear off my debt and I have my savings, I have all that kind of stuff in order, then I can do more of that without having to be so like every 5 years I can take a vacation or you know what I mean, like
layaway vacation,
or like a layaway vacation. I can actually use my summers off to actually go and do that, right? And so just sort of thinking about it, if you're not into name brands and handbags and all that kind of stuff, you can now go and travel and go and do makeup wherever and go start your own business and like do all these other things. Get your puppy. Like just do the things that bring you joy
for free.
Do the things that bring you joy because you've already put everything else in order. You know, I think we spend so much time. For myself, I spent so much time just focused on paycheck to paycheck. You know, bill to bill, debt to debt, and then wanting all these other things that I could just never acquire.
Then that also makes you, to me, that's where the frustration comes in.
Absolutely.
Where if you are living paycheck to paycheck, and I was thinking that the other day, every time when I look on my spreadsheet, the beautiful spreadsheet I have, I realize that part of the reason why I'm not in the moment. Why? Because I'm looking at October 5th. The next whatever the next 2, because that's how I'm mapping out when I'm gonna have this done, when I'm gonna have that done. So it's like you can't even be focused and be present because all you're worried about is what's next, what I need to do, how I can do.
And that $10 gotta last me until Friday,
you know. And so
that's why it's really just paycheck to Monday. Folk ain't living paycheck to paycheck. They get paid Friday.
It might Monday.
Be Sunday. It might be
Sunday night.
They scratching their head like, what just
midnight,
happened? Absolutely.
Everything
coming out. And so that honestly is a whole other conversation about learning how to lay stuff down. I was listening to, I know how people are familiar with Elevation Church and Pastor Furtick, and he was giving this message. And he was talking about frustration happens when when reality meets expectations. And so we have these expectations that I just got paid. It's Friday night. So I just got paid. And so now I'm going to pay these bills. That's the expectation. And then reality hits, oh, shucks, it's not enough.
It's like, wait a minute.
Pay. And now I'm frustrated. Like,
the next thing is you call. Financial diary. Remember when I said I was going to pay whole balance?
Then once that part hits,
I'm going to put some on it. I'm going to put some on it.
Ain't enough to pay these bills.
Yes.
And reality hits. Then it becomes the frustration of, you know what, forget it. I ain't gonna ever get out this debt. Like, let me just go on here
and have a good time.
That's right. Have a good time. You only live
ball out.
Walking through the streets of Baltimore, I never know what's going on. Mine is going on.
You know what?
She said, walking down the streets. I was about to say, it's a mindset, it's a shift. How do I make more money? And you hit with walking down the street. Don't walk down the streets of Baltimore making more money. I'm just, but what the shift is.
I mean, you could.
Walking down Baltimore Street.
Yeah, I'm about to say in Baltimore Street. But what the shift is, which we have to get to as a people, I feel like as a community, we have to get to the point that our mind shifts, and instead of shutting down and saying, well, I'm balling out, I'm spending everything, forget it. And we have to get to the point like, all right, how can I create another income stream? Right. Everybody has been given a gift.
That's right. Yeah.
And how can, people used to talk about, I would be like, you sure do talk a lot. Okay, you know what? We know what God did?
That's right.
He used the fact that I talked a lot. He said, let me show how she gonna make money from talking a lot.
Right.
And so everybody has a gift that God gave them. How can I use that gift? You do makeup, it's flawless. You don't even look like, cause some of you see people and you be like, whoa, she got the whole pack on her face. Right. And so, but the thing is, but how do I make that into another income stream? How do I develop that? How do I create distribution? How do I make money? Instead of shutting down, again, still goes back to what's the focus and what are we telling ourselves?
Bigger picture.
Right, because it's all about what conversations are you having with yourself.
That's right.
And so if the conversation is about debt, like I tell myself I'm financially independent. I'm not debt free yet, but I don't say I want to be debt free. What I say is I want to be financially independent. Why? Because then my focus becomes on financial independence and not debt. And so people don't even realize how powerful their words are. And so if you keep telling yourself, I'm going to be debt free, I'm going to be debt free, you're really thinking about your debt, so you're never going to be debt free. But if you say I'm going to be financially independent, yes, absolutely. You focus on growth.
That's it.
It grows. That's real. And so if you say I'm going to be financially independent, then the only thing you're focused on is how can I become financially independent.
And what does that mean?
Oh, it means different things for different people. For me, it means I don't have to worry about, like, I'm not looking at what stuff costs anymore.
Yeah.
There's restaurants you go to.
You
sit down.
Do you work a 9 to 5 job?
No.
Because one of the things we was talking about is when you know how you got that one coworker like, girl, do we get paid this week? Be like,
I'm sorry, yes, and the check clears on Thursday night.
11:59.
I need to be there when I'm not worried about when
down
the check.
To the penny.
It's always one. It's always one coming in.
I just never know.
Yeah,
let me tell you, that's the one that got the black and white calendar on her desk. She know when she got paid. She got this is a funny thing.
But you know what? But also, you know who she is? She's the one that bring her lunch. She's the one who don't have a fancy car. She's the one. Like I'm saying, how somebody moves and what they do. You can tell by that. You can tell by their walk.
But it's a balance. So there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door because I don't ascribe. I saw the book. I don't ascribe to the fact that you have to be impoverished in order to be wealthy. It's a balance.
Somebody?
It's a balance, but you have to prioritize. So if I tell my client that to max out an IRA, an individual retirement account, is $458 a month, then you can't tell me, no, I can't do that. And then I look over here and you got a $700 car note. No. Come on. You can't do it. I need you to buy a used car because they don't have any value anyway. So I need you not to buy the new one. I need you to buy the used one, and then we're gonna take that extra $350 and we're gonna shoot that over there with the $150 that you had. And now we're maxing out your IRA. So you can have both, but it's just about adjusting.
So you don't have to be like some. I know some people can be probably, I guess, just over the top, right?
They're frugal.
Which is
Yeah, I don't believe you got to live like that. I don't believe you have to live like that because I desire a lifestyle. You said, what is financial independence? I want a lifestyle. There's so many things I want to do. I want to create a scholarship. It's called the Goldilocks Scholarship. And so the scholarship is for the person that's in the middle. They ain't got good grades.
Yeah.
And they ain't necessarily poor. They just, you know, that space where you ain't broke, but your parents ain't got no money either. See, ain't no scholarships for the people in the middle. Yeah. And so it's called Goldilocks because it's just right. And all you got to do is sell me on why I should give it to you. And so it's just things that I want to do. I want to open up, I actually want to open up a school. And so one of the reasons why I moved into the financial arena full time is because they said they'll pay me unlimited dollars based on my work ethic. So I can control that. I don't have to worry about if I'm getting a 1%, 2%, or 3% raise. I can control my money. So therefore, my thing is ultimately I want to open up a school that just deals with kindergarten through 2nd grade. That's it. Because it's the foundation that's being lost. But these are the reasons, like, I always know people that don't really know people that have money. Because I know a lot of people that have money. They're extremely humble. They give a lot. Right. And I'm like, people get confused. See, you're looking, I remember Chris Rock did a thing on rich people and wealthy people. I saw that. Rich people are concerned about what they have on. Wealthy people, money don't stop. That's not their focus. But it doesn't mean you can't like nice things. Right. It just means it makes no sense that you have a pair of red bottoms in your closet that you never wear because you don't want to scuff up the bottom, and you living in the apartment. That don't balance out. That you never take. I call them the black people trips. You only take the black people trips. Like in our area, you have arrived. I sit down with people. I be like, "Have you traveled all over? Well, where you been?" It's always this. Cancun, the Bahamas, Miami,
and DR,
Jamaica. They just added DR and Vegas. You have done some stuff, and you done been up and down the East Coast, and you've been to Cancun, DR, Bahamas.
You said, "Wait, I gotta get on the
black people." But see, no. But there's places like
made the black people.
No, it's like you gotta make. You gotta come off the list.
But you've been to
places like see that we see that's
a step up. That's a step up.
That's a step up. Absolutely. Okay. See, it's places like the Maldives. There's places that you can't even pronounce. Right. It's right. I'm saying it's all these places out there, and we looking still at Jamaica, Bahamas.
But I again, like you're saying, it's the limit. It's the limitation on your mind. I'll never forget when I was in a network marketing business, and one of the things she would always say was once your mind has been expanded, you can't bring it back. So once you've been exposed to it, meaning once you know better, and once you've been exposed, you can't unsee it. Right. And that's to me where I feel like the people I'm around. I mean, yes, like again, like you said, people like nice things. Nothing wrong with that, but it's with balance and also with a goal in mind. Like I don't want. My daughter always talk like, I want to do this, I want to have this, and all those things are great. But when I'm telling you, if you can't handle these 3 bills, 1, 2, 3 that you have right here, what's the next? How can God even entrust you with anything else? Yes. And that was a hard lesson for me to understand because all I kept thinking about, but I do this, I do that, I do all these things. But I wasn't understanding why the money was, but it was really my relationship with money because I think I had shared with probably both of these ladies that I had a fear of being broke. So once fear. Then
you focus on
the
fear.
But I focused on the fear part because what was happening was when I saw my account the reason why I wouldn't pay something if I saw my account was going to be too low. It made me nervous.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? So the fear of my account looked like it was. If it was, if I owed a $200 bill, I might have had the $200, but then that would have made me have nothing.
See, that fear, it paralyzed you.
So
it
that's
propels other people.
But for me, because of how I grew up, where this feast to famine, where it made me nervous about coming home and the lights off.
Yes.
Phone cut off. Oh, we getting evicted. You gotta move. So that's what kept me in fear, but it also kept me more behind. So I really wasn't progressing. You're not doing anything. You're doing something.
Frozen.
Right.
Yes.
So it's those kind of things that once you realize why you do what you do, then it makes sense.
Yes. But you hit the point. You keep saying it. You can realize why you do what you do all day. If we polled this room around, people know a bunch of people that know a lot of things that they're doing that they should not be doing, but they still keep doing it. And so the thing is realizing is the first step.
Right.
Taking action to change and making a decision. Everything is about this. The word decide for my verbal system. The word the what is it called? The suffix IDE means to put death to. So if you decide, you've put death to any other options when you make a choice. And so the problem is people don't decide to do anything. They just want to keep talking about it.
They still want the options open.
It's like they want to keep talking about it. And I sit down with people and you'll be amazed. Like, I get people, and I actually do recruit, train, and develop agents to market financial solutions. And, they're scared of the word no. And I'm like, child, please. please. Folks don't tell you no. This is what they tell you. I'm going to pray about it. Let me get back to you. I'm going to call you. They don't tell you no. Because they can't make a decision. Right. And so the thing is, when you make a decision and you say, I want to travel, then I'm going to do what I need to do that. I want to, get out of debt. So I want to be financially independent. I'm going to do what I need to do that. Right. And so it's that next step. But you're absolutely right. Fear will do one or two things. It's either going to propel you or it's going to paralyze you. Oh, yeah. And so, and I encourage people, let it propel you. Look at that thing. What's going to push you towards what you need to do? Right. Because I used to have something, people talk about keep your vision, your golden thing. What I used to have was an ugly video. And so after I got divorced, and your life shifts. I do a workshop called New Beginnings, from divorces, babies, because your life shifts. And so I remember getting divorced and my life shifted. And so my ugly video, to this day, I hate that white truck. If you ever live in an apartment complex, that white truck pulls up this week. And that's the white truck where all the people jump out of it. And then they go and they put people out. Oh, I used to hate. That thing used to.
I was like, wait a minute, what's the
it's a big white truck with people in the back of it. And so it's like sometimes they get it from all over. That's the people they hire to set people out. And so my ugly video, because I've seen kids come home, this even growing up, I had friends that came home and their stuff was on the street. Can you imagine that? You walk, children are cruel. Yes, they are. And they see like, hey.
The whole living room.
Right, like, why not just over your house? What? They not your sofa? Right, what your sofa doing outside? And so, but I've seen children standing there, just with black bags crying because mom and daddy wasn't off work yet. But they got off the school bus first. Right. So that's the ugly video that will play in my mind, but it didn't paralyze me, it propelled me. Because I said I will never have my kids come home to that. I will do, if I gotta stay up all goddamn night, I will do what I have to do. Right. And so the thing is, you have to make a decision about what is it that I want this financial picture of mine to look like. I talk to people about building a strong financial house, but what does that look like for you? I guarantee 100%. People, they have money. It's just what you choose to do with your money. Right. And then showing people how you can take the same dollars and just use it more wisely. How do I get out of debt faster? How do I invest my money? How do I make sure that my everything is protected that I want to protect? Not just my income, but my assets. How's that stuff protected?
And that was one of the things that actually, when the light switch was going off, I had several conversations with friends, and I was just like, this makes no sense. I have multiple degrees. I have a good income. Why am I broke all the time? And it was literally that. Like, I'm looking at the amount. I'm like, I could be doing, like, I need to be doing something different. It doesn't, because to me, I felt like I've spent too much time, energy, and money to have all these degrees to be struggling like this.
Right. And that's to me. I mean? And it's not a front on college, but I think at the point that we are as America, that's one of the saddest things I've ever seen. If you go back 60 years, then college, you actually came out of college with a marketable skill and a degree that allowed you to be able to function in a corporate environment and reach whatever you consider the level of success. Now what's going on, and affordable, let's just talk about that. Now what's going on is that college is straight business. It's a business. Anytime, like I said, my daughter goes to A&T, her out-of-state tuition is $10,000. Their in-state tuition is $1,700. It's the same classes, it's the same location, but you charge out-of-state students $8,000 more because it's a business. I sat with a guy yesterday, a young guy told me he paid $400 for a French book. And so it's a business at this point. So you have people coming out of college. The saddest case I saw, I had a client, she had $220,000 of student loan debt. Her payment, she was paying interest payments when I met her. I'm thinking her payment of $600 was high. So she called me and said it's about to kick in and be $1,500. I'm like, what the what? And it's a mortgage.
No, I was just talking to somebody else, recently, it was the exact same thing. I heard that it was $1,200.
It's crazy, but
and
again,
I don't regret my degrees. It's not that. It was the mindset though. It was like I've arrived from the standpoint on the outside, like I got the job and all that, but I'm not doing
the money's not
it
doing
the right
thing.
It doesn't add up.
But then I guess you got to think about also then, like you're saying, I get the whole thing about it being a business, but also that a lot of times when you're able, I think one of the, if you can pay for your kids to go to school, that's a beautiful thing.
That's a beautiful thing.
When I used to work at a law firm, and one of my coworkers, a white woman, she told me, she was like, her parents told them, we'll pay for your education, and we'll either get you a car, or it was for if she got married. Yes. So it's like one of the whatever, but you pick one, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, damn, let's make a deal. Like, I'm thinking to myself, but it's like people, and I think, like you're saying, in our culture, in our community, mm-hmm. those options weren't on the table. Mm-hmm. And so it was what you do to get by, what you good. So that's why what I'm grateful now is that where I am now, in terms of now I'm not where I want to be, but that I now understand what this really means and what it means to really have, or to be able to provide. Yes. Because it's a different, when I had to tell my daughter, like, nah, we can't afford to pay this a month for you to go to school. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a hard conversation. That's a hard conversation when they work hard to get into school mm-hmm. and you can't pay. You know, so I think that from this conversation, I think that the beauty of it is that there are tools. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And you here to provide them, and we appreciate that.
And someone just asked again for your name, so if you can give
info again. Yes, give your info again so we can have it.
My name is Andrea Jackson.
Not going into
I know, I like to go into my radio, because I'm going to be on the radio. So my name is Andrea Jackson. I can be reached now. I'm old school, I promise you. People are like, what's your social media?
You got a fax number?
I'm like, nah, I do, but no. Because they'll be like, how do I reach you on Instagram? What am I put on Instagram? Like photos of myself with dollars? I don't know, but no.
What's your social media? How can they contact you?
How can they contact you?
No. What's your phone number? They can contact me on 301.
I know that's right, the number.
633-8688. Because if they don't come correct, block.
And your website.
3 zeros, like that is the website. I know you can go to jonesjewels.com. You'll see some of the stuff about me and my partner.
But they can follow you on Facebook.
Oh yeah, you can follow me on Facebook. I do have a Facebook. It's called Dollars and Cents. So with an S. So dollars and SENSE.
And we'll make sure Dollars
and Cents. Yeah. And then my other page. Andrea Jackson. What is my name? Andrea Liv Jackson. That one. That's weird. We got to
work on it. We got to
work on my social media. We don't know what somebody on that part. But close to 50, they don't even know what to say.
We're gonna post our information.
Reach me here.
Look, we might even build her an IG page. But no,
I have one. I just don't know what to put on.
Let's hold on now. Hold on, sis.
Oh, and the event that you're having again.
Yeah, what's the event?
Oh, okay. So the event is, and you can go to jonesjewels.com and see more about the event. But it's called Extreme Makeover. We call it EMO for short. It's actually for the family, and so it's awesome. We have we're gonna have different workshops. So we have the general session, but then we have a male breakout. And I'm just appealing to the men in the community. So the men's focus is called Duct Tape Doesn't Fix Everything. It's actually facilitated by men. It's a men's workshop. It's only men in there. We're not in there infiltrating. But it's an opportunity for the walls to come down, because quiet as it's kept, it's a whole lot going on with men that they keep because they're taught to keep it. And so what happens is that it spills over when they're so busy trying to keep all that stuff. So we have that environment. We don't have a problem talking. So we got a women's room. We got a workshop for singles, a workshop for marrieds, and we do also have a workshop for teens for ages 12 to 17, and we deal with all those things in there.
So how do they sign up on the website?
Yeah, they can go to the website. So www.jonesjewels, Jones, Jewels, JEWELS.com. There we go. So jonesjewels.com. You'll see the link that says Extreme Makeover.
Okay.
And the registration cost includes lunch, includes breakfast, includes an afternoon snack. If there's vendors that are interested in actually vending at the event, there's a link for that as well. Awesome. And so it's a wonderful event. This is our 3rd year. And we have a collection of speakers, all from different backgrounds. We do a physical part. We do Zumba. It's funny. It's hilarious.
This sounds like a whole. Is it a whole
It's a day. It is. It's from 9 to 4. We have an absolute. It was sold out. We do a mini breakout session in February, and so the February session was sold out. And it's at Arundel Preserve. So we had like 250 women there. Okay. We had a men's session, but we weren't allowed to go in, so I don't know how many were in there.
So it sounds like y'all better get into it.
Yes.
So make sure y'all sign up, and we're gonna post all of this on A Side of Shade. Yes, it's gonna be on A Side of Shade,
and so on Instagram as well.
Yes. And so thank you.
You guys are great. I'm just gonna come hang out with you guys. And the gold microphone.
You are awesome. Gold. This was great. And everybody was saying yes, they love it. They was giving
thank you, everybody.
Kudos. They love it. But thank you all for tuning in. We will be back in 2 weeks. I am Krishna.
I'm Victoria.
And I'm Kristen.
Have a good night.
And I'm Andrea.
Yay. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. I gotta do a wave. Good night.